Welcome to my brief lecture on Chapter 4. We've already covered a great amount of this information starting in Chapter 1. For example, you've already had some experience with the CIN and COUT operator, what a variable is, what a constant is, what an assignment operator is versus a test for equality. So let's look at page 81, and we'll talk about arithmetic operators in C++. But before I do that, I'm going to start a project just for this lecture. I'm going to call it Chapter 4. If this thing takes forever, you'll just have to bear with me. Okay, so I'm running the Enterprise Edition. I'm not running the Community Edition. However, the Community Edition's supposedly got more in it than Enterprise. I don't know. I'm not running that. But here you see I have Visual C++ selected. And I have two options here. I can use a Win32 console app, which you may not see, or yours may be in here somewhere. There's a Win32 directory. There's also an empty project, which it shortens some of the configurations for this Win32 console app. It just goes right to an empty project. You don't have to go in and set any of those check boxes like I did in the video. So I'm going to call this, let's see where I'm going to put it. Video, that's 212. I'm going to do that. Let's browse. I've got a bunch of stuff on this device. 251 projects. There we go. I'll call this, well, that's actually projects. Where's my lecture at? There we go. I'll just put it in here. I'm going to call this Chapter 4 because it's not the project. I'll have a video on that too, but that comes later. All right. Okay, so I've got empty project selected. I've got my name here. And we'll see how long this takes. Okay, so there's my empty project. In the Solution Explorer, right click, add source, new item. I want a C++, that's my source file. I'm going to change the name, I always do that. Make it the same as your project, whatever that happens to be. It's the easiest way to do it. And add. And I need to open up, should have done this beforehand. Go to Blackboard and grab my source file. All right. Hope we don't open up that code editor thing again. That was terrible. I don't know where that came from. That's something new. Student resources. Here we go. See if I can do an open with. Nope. There it goes, doing its thing. All right, I guess I'll have to sit through this painful episode and see what comes about. Maybe it's something new that they've got that's kind of nice. There it is. All right, I'll just do a Control A, Control Copy. That is kind of nice, like a little cheap editor. Learn something new every day. All right, and I'm going to just paste it in here. And in Chapter 4, they actually go through and show you the steps that I've already got commented here. Declarations, input, processing, and output, and all that. So we've covered quite a lot of this already. And some of you have had this in other classes, I hope. So we have, on page 81, we have parens. They have the lowest number, which means it's the most important. Level of precedence. Negation, which is actually multiplication by -1, but they've given it a 2. An asterisk or a star for multiplication. Right pointing slash for division, and a modulus, which is the remainder of a division of two integers. You can only use it on integers, plus and minus. So a lot of times modulus operators are used to determine even and odd numbers. If you have a 0 remainder of two integers, that means it's an even number. If you have a 1 or something other than 0, it means it's an odd number. All right, static cast. Now, in the last project video, chapter 3, project 3, we ran up on a little issue trying to calculate our percentage, or I did anyway. And I did that because you can't divide two numbers that are integers and expect to get anything other than 0 because there's no decimal component. So even though they were doubles and they were divided, they were stored in an integer and it showed up as 0. So I had to go in and do what was called a cast, and I used an open paren and the type I wanted to cast it to and a closed paren. That works most of the time, but static cast is an operator that's available to us that will do an explicit casting of just about everything. So this is probably what you want to use. That's on page 83. So if you look at the syntax, it says static cast chevron data type close chevron, and then the data, which is the variable. Okay, so if I come in here and I just don't use explicit casting, I don't do it. So if I do an integer here and I say my int and I assign it a value of 3, and then I come down here, let's do a double. It will do an implicit cast of this, but I just don't trust that. I'd rather not do it that way. I explicitly cast everything regardless, because that way I know what the outcome is going to be. My double equals 0.0. Whoops, got a space in there somehow. All right, so there's that. So what I want to do is I want to use my double, and I want to store that integer in there, but I want to convert it to, why is it doing this? A double before I do it. Now, like I said, it will implicitly do that for you. I'm doing Apple commands. I apologize. I've been teaching an Apple class, and I'm kind of fighting two different battles here. Different key strokes for copy paste and that sort of thing. Like teaching multiple languages. Okay, so I could just do my int semicolon, and it would take that integer and stick a 0.0 on the end of it after it, it's implicitly placing it into that double memory location. You don't want to do that because it's just too easy to get messed up on the outcome of and to generate logic errors on the outcome of mathematics. So it's better to do it this way. So static underscore cast. This is built in. It's an intrinsic conversion operator, so you don't have to declare it. And I'm going to convert this to a double. So I put the type in the chevrons, right? And then the name of the variable that I want to convert. So it's my int semicolon. Whoop. Semicolon. There we go. Now it's going to, before it does anything here, now this would obviously be in calculation. So before it does anything with this, it's going to go ahead and temporarily convert it to an integer, to a double, and then assign it into the double, and you'll have the actual value 3.0. So that's what we hope we'll get. Let's run it and see. While we're waiting, don't forget that to zip up the outermost folder on these projects. I've gotten a couple that weren't submitted correctly. And if they're not submitted correctly, I can't open it up and look at it. So you get a 0. Now, I'll let you resubmit it. I mean, I said that to the folks that did it, but all you have to do is go back to that first project, the intro project, and I showed you how to do that. And then I did it again, I think, in project 3. Now, these project videos are not going to be as hold my hand as project 3 was. I'm just trying to get you started. Now I'll give you some hints and so forth and some direction, but I'm not going to do the entire thing with the solution for you. So you'll have to start thinking your way through it, and that's just part of it. All right, so let's go ahead and add this to our watch window, and then we'll press F11 since F10 ends the video, and see now there it's a double. Okay, some of you disagree with why I did it that way, but believe me, when you start looking beyond the order of precedence, the way that these things evaluate and implicitly cast, you can come up with rounding errors, all sorts of things. When you're talking about dollars and cents, that gets kind of important. All right, we've already looked at assignment operations and statements. It's just an overloaded operator. If it's an assignment, like you're declaring a variable or you're changing the value stored there, then it is an assignment statement, even though it's an equal operator character. If you're comparing one thing to another, then that's a test for equality. Is x equal to 10? Of course, they use an equal for that, so two different things. Let's see, assignment operators, or arithmetic assignment operators. There are some shortcuts here on page 87 that you need to get used to using. Here's an example. Let's see, my double. I'm going to go ahead and do it both ways if I remember the correct command here for IBM PC. Equals my double plus, what is going on here? Plus 1. Must be the operator error. Okay, now it's going to be my double plus equals 1. Put a little space, there we go. Now, those are identical as far as the compiler is concerned. So if it's just a time saver, it basically evaluates the same way. This evaluates like this. I could do minus 1, and it'd be minus equals. So to get used to, you need to memorize these. And there's divide, multiply, and then there's modulus. Okay, it's the same exact thing. They're listed at the bottom of page 87 in figure 413. Let's see, desk checks, all that stuff is, you can read what happens to the compiler and how it links the additional source code. It's pulling those linked libraries that we've included at the top up here. It's pulling them in when it links, and that's what it's doing. Let's see, I think that's just about it. I believe that is it. Now I'm going to go ahead and make you a hint video for the project for chapter 4, and I will see you later. Have a good day.